Hello, 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 hello. I'm back from the other place. So just came back last night, and I am first time now again making a video for Nikki Loves Dogs. I made two videos at the other house for Kenny Redwood, Animal Lover Support Group Kenny Redwood. That's my other channel. And I also made a video, several videos with my action camera and at the beach, and I have uploaded it on my Microsoft computer. I'm going to get the Windows Movie Maker again. It had made a major update, and that's why the drivers were not working. So it was amazing for me to see how the update fixed all of this. I thought I had to throw the computer away. So but yeah, I'm gonna make a nice video with that, a longer one, and with editing and with cropping and with music and with intermittent music and so on. So I'm gonna be working on that probably for over a week. So anyway, in the meantime, right now I woke up today and had some insights into things, and I had a dream earlier this morning, but I went back to sleep after I had that dream. I almost was gonna write it down because I didn't want to forget it, but then I thought, I'm too tired, I need to sleep. So when I woke up finally around 11 o'clock, I still remembered that dream that I had around 8 or 9 a.m. So, and this is my new pastel. It's so awesome, 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 awesome. Beautiful. I just love it. It's so beautiful how it is shaped. A beautiful shape. Oh, that smells. Oh, it smells so good. It smells like vanilla. Oh, that's good. And it's cold. I need to warm it up. So, yeah, anyway, I needed to make a video before I do anything else. I needed to make a video about that dream that I had around 8 or 9. That was quite significant. So let me recall that dream as good as I possibly can. I dreamed that I was somehow assigned, or I assigned myself some kind of assignment to figure out, it's some kind of psychological experiment, like as a psychologist. So I went into, I wanted to study people, in their actual environment. So I went to this evangelical church community, and they had this dinner event or something in their church, but the church was not like the church in Europe, the churches in Europe or the cathedrals in Europe. The churches and cathedrals in Europe, they are all old. They don't have new churches, as far as I know, at least. I've never seen a new church. So whatever church and cathedral they have in Europe is an architectural masterpiece and is of utmost historic value and antique value and architectural, artistic value, and draws people in just for the beauty of the architecture and the way the light shines in, the sun shines in. And in most of these places, religion has taken some kind of back seat in those places. There isn't much religion going on in there anymore, as far as I know. And what's happening there is they're using these buildings for beautiful concerts, classical concerts like Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, the three major ones in particular, but also others. And so that's what this whole community is about. It's about music, art, coming together, and not so much anymore about Jesus Christ or Mother Mary or any of those bleeding figures that are still hanging there as ornaments from several hundred years ago. So they have now been attributed a museum value. Yeah. So you bleeding Jesus, you're our museum piece now. We're coming here for, you want some shock value. Oh, a bleeding Jesus. Oh, look what they did several hundred years ago. Okay, so now let's fly over to the United States in mind, okay? And let's go to a church here, or some trailer church or something, or a traveling church in a tent. There's a wonderful, wonderful Outer Limit film with Gary Busey portraying that atmosphere, that character. It was very, very, very well done. I will give that an award, that film. It's my favorite Outer Limits, so there's no question about it. What was the title? A Traveling Church or something like this? No, The Revival. That's the title of that film. I have to dig that up again later because it's a classic. It was, I don't know when they did it, 1995 or something. Oh, very well done. Gary Busey playing this minister in that traveling church. And it is, I don't think any minister actually looks like him. He's just too, his face, everything about him is too artistic, is too individual and too modern, actually, to play actually some character like this. So, but anyway, he did a very good job playing that character anyway, and all the other people were very, very good in it. Particularly that Lucifer kind of guy, I forgot the name of the actor. Really well done, and that guy really fit that. He really fit that personality also in the way his body is and his face, and so a perfect match to this type of role. And so I need to get better light. So okay, so anyway, I want people to watch it. So that's kind of like the atmosphere, and almost a little bit caricaturistic, but it's like we are alerted to the flaws through caricatures, through exaggerations of certain things, that we actually see, that we pinpoint at the faults and flaws. So, when you blow something up a little bit, then you are, yeah, that's true. It is a bit like that in real life. So, and there are, it's not so much even an exaggeration, there are traveling churches that have circus type of characteristics, and that are really targeting people who live in trailer homes and actual outcasts of society and so on, who are still clinging with hands and feet to their outdated, dusty religion and worldview. So, and thus never getting out, really out, never becoming a real outsider that is free, you know. So that's the tragedy of it. They are the they have been kicked out by the Jerry Haggards, or whatever his name is, Ted Haggard, and they're banned to the desert and to the poor trailer slums and stuff like this, and yet they never question it ever, you know, never question the foot that kicks them. So to free themselves and really get out of it, you know. So, but I've been to the desert, and I have to intercept in what I just said, that the people in the desert are more open-minded. Okay, just because of the character of the situation that they live in, you know, the poverty. Also, like when they live there full time, it gets very deserted during the summertime. So they probably get very lonely. As long as they have air conditioners, they can survive. But but the people in the desert are, even the ones that are not artistic, they are more open-minded. It's just there's a much more open-mindedness. While when you come here to the ocean, to the maritime climate, where everything is moist and fertile all year round, and people, they don't have to be exposed to such extreme temperatures. They have it a little better physically. They are automatically then much more arrogant, because they don't have to struggle, or they don't have to face any kind of hardship. They're much more arrogant. And I'm talking about the the rural people, you know, the rural people in the desert versus the rural people here in the maritime climate, in the Pacific Northwest. So, you know, all the way from Alaska to San Francisco, or, you know, farther than that. So it's those type of people. They're everywhere in the entire United States, and also Canada. So, and also around the world, and then it varies a little bit according to media and government and society and so on. And so, and then eventually all religions, you know, are working with the same principle, you know, of keeping people in fear of the devil, keeping them in fear of hell, and so on, you know. And so, me as this hobby psychologist, going into this enclave, as I call them, you know, into this dusty type of society, hanging out with them, and I don't really know what it was. More like a social psychological experiment. I wanted to find out whether there was any way I can reach anyone in there, you know, with my message of love for all living beings, the true love, you know, true love and art. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of art. They're afraid of that. I was very close friends with an evangelical person, but well, she had some other things going as well. She lived partly in the US and partly in Germany, and she was also a famous psychologist who has written many books and who also has something going on, much more going than that. And she limited herself with this worldview. She out of a fear. And so it was also very interesting for me to look into that, what she was doing and how she was actually putting herself into a box and taping up her legs and arms, that and her wings, particularly, and her mental wings, that she could have used so much more elegantly had she dissolved that belief. So, and her husband died from that belief. He literally died from that belief because he was torn between being a scientist and that evangelical belief. It caused him leukemia. It's a real tragic story. It's, gosh, I feel like I need to blast that into the world so people know what religiousness actually does to the immune system. A real kind-hearted man torn between the secular scientific world and the dusty, taped up, mutilating, uh, mummifying religion. So anyway, I went into this enclave, and it was some kind of trailer, but a large trailers or building or something, real tacky. And the people in there, they were all miserable, they were all unhappy, and they were all arrogant, and they were fleeing into that arrogance. An arrogance is always based on fear. and they were eating there, and it was very hard for me to find the right foods to eat. What was hardly anything there that was of nutritious value. And so I decided before I went in there, I tried to be as accommodating and as kind and as understanding and as Thich Nhat Hanh always says, to really see the other person and see their whole story, and to feel compassion for that other living being, with his story and with his mental idiosyncrasies and quirks and tics and escape mechanisms and so on, and ego and arrogance and shame and pride and nationality and hate and dualism, and that whole package, that these people are drowned in and boxed in so that they can't even see out of it at all. There's no way for them to even, they have never seen a window out of that. It's like a murky, blindfolded, dusty situation, and they can't see that there's no window that has ever shown itself to them. Never. So I come in there and act like, I am not different, act like I'm not special. I'm just coming in there, like everyone else, and checking things out. And before I open my mouth, things are not as bad, though they already don't feel real comfortable because my clothes are already just a little bit more modern. Yes, yeah, one can see that. The women in these enclaves, they dress like, how do they dress? You know, when they're poor, when they're not really rich. When they're really rich, they dress like a politician. Always, you know, this half round décolleté, never too deep, you know, and often with cut off arms like this, and often women with old arms do that too, which I would never do. Now, when my arms get old, trust me, I am not going to show myself in a tank top again. So, but I see, you know, I see journalists still, like when they're like 60 or something, or 70, and they go under the knife, and then they go shopping. They get a dress, a politician's dress for a 25-year-old politician. And but anyway, this is besides the point. It's it all eventually ties in with one another in a very large schematic picture. But I'm trying to highlight these particular things in psychology because I think it is very important that people understand. And again, I'm not making fun of it. It's a situation comedy, and we should laugh more about ourselves and not just finger pointing. You know, we all got some stuff going. We all want to be loved, and um, most of us have denial. You know, I'm trying to really undo the denial. Like if there's one last grain of denial, I want to wash that, but really wash it, not brainwash it. I want to wash that denial. I want to wash that brainwash out of my system. Yeah. So denial is brainwash. Brainwash is denial. So yeah, so these women, they were dressed like how can I describe it? Uh, they didn't wear pants, first of all. They're always wearing dresses, usually knee to the knees, you know. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they wear dresses that come down to the ankles, always. It's also interesting. It's this dress code according to religion. But yeah, the evangelical women dresses to the knees, and they are not allowed to be looking sexy. They're only allowed to have like, and they're encouraged to be thin and look like stick figures with a dress on it. And but often they are fat because they eat meat, and particularly the older ones are real fat because they eat meat all day long for breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee time as well. So, and then some snacks of jerky in between. Would be a heck of a lot more healthy if they could give all of this to their animals, to their dogs. Dogs would love all of this, and if they themselves could eat only oatmeal, my goodness, they wouldn't have to go to the doctor anymore if they did that. But anyway, so all of this, the meat eating, all of this is like it's part of that entire program. And going against solar energy is part of their program, which is completely idiotic and retarded. But that's what they do, and I have the right to say that it is retarded. I want people to pay attention to this and become aware, and not accept this, all of this, like this. It's what Jiddu Krishnamurti always said. Why do people accept this authority? Just because some authority in their own creed said that. So then they all jump on it. The authority says you need to vote for Santorum. Then they all go, Santorum, Santorum. It's so incredibly retarded. I want people to wake up, man, you know. And then many of them start smoking and drinking also. Many of the more sensitive ones that are less psychopathic, because they suffer, their systems suffer. They never question, but their systems suffer, so they start drinking and smoking. Same in the Muslim religion. The more sensitive ones, they become the alcoholics, but they never question their religion. It's so sad for me to see this, and I've observed all of this. I have a feast of observation opportunity on the internet. It's incredibly interesting. So yeah, so in this dream, my all of my observations kind of come together into one story, and there's also my own pain involved in it. My own pain is this, often in dreams. um, I heard many people talk about this also, that they had dreams where they felt stuck with something, or where they couldn't run, or where they could not escape from something. It's the the lifetime psychological pain that was often surface in dreams, And so in this particular dream, it's what surfaced is my struggle, really. My struggle with humanity, where I go, look, I show you the truth. All you need to do is look. How can I get you to look at the truth? This is my struggle. It's been my lifetime struggle. Started with my parents. Always look, see what he did to me. See what my grandfather. No, he's giving us money. He's good. We can't say anything against him. That's what's going through their heads. So denial out of convenience. So, but then denial out of religion takes it a couple of steps further into idiocracy, into idiocy. So these women, this suppressed energy in that room, and the men, they have this energy like Mike Pence. If you've seen Mike Pence, if you've seen his face, it's the men, they all have that same type of facial expression, like this brazen, I am the man in the house, or I'm the preacher here. They all have to buckle under me, and and this pride, that's in the face. That's, a little bit of a sadistic smirk, a little bit retarded smirk, this self-pleased, brazen type of smirk, because it's always been like this. They have always been catered to, by everyone else. I see this also in other societies, of course, but in the context of religion, it brings it yet to another very feisty and negative and ironic and idiotic level. It really does. And all of these people never questioning anything. They keep themselves confined in this spin. It's like it stays spinned in this. It can't get out of that realm. It's like they're not allowed to get out of. You bounce here and there, but it always spins within this self-made, confined realm. And I say, come out of it. You don't need that realm anymore. You can go in here to look and talk, and you can come back out. You go back and you come back out, and you communicate, and you see everything, and you are everywhere. Okay, and you observe everyone, every animal, child, adult. You talk to them, and you talk to people of different religions, and protect yourself with pepper spray, and you just find out who these people are and find out more about all of this. Step away from the big picture, look at it from above. Then you see your enclave. This enclave suddenly is somewhere here, like this size, somewhere on that big picture. And there are many other enclaves, like many other solar systems that are swirling around there in that universe of human-made religions. So all religions are human-made. All gods are human-invented, human-created, human-painted, and envisioned, and made in their own image. And that's why the Indian gods, they look Indian, like Hindu. And the gods here, even Jesus Christ, he was a real dark-complected, wild-looking guy with black, curly, kinky hair. And guess what? They painted him in Europe in their own image. They made a blonde dude out of him, a blonde hippie. So yeah, it's that's what people do, and then the other people, they jump on it and say, yeah, that's how he looked like. Yeah, no, that's not how he looked like. You don't even know how. You don't have a clue how he looked like. Okay, they want to make him, and that's, I find that also extremely racist, and this is extremely fascist, this whole thing. Also, people don't even know. They don't even realize how racist and fascist they are, and how speciesist they are. It's all these mechanisms, the racism, all of this, and the speciesism. These things they go completely undetected. They're like part of this entire psychological phenomenon. It's very unconscious. Those are very unconscious processes. So back to the dream, I was walking around there, and I saw myself being put under the tables. It's all very symbolic. Suddenly I got so exhausted from that energy, I kind of fell under the tables. I could barely breathe. Then I was walking on all fours under the tables and could barely breathe. It was so dusty in there, this entire room, literally dusty, The air was so bad, and such artificial smells in that room. They didn't even open the windows to let some nature air into. No, and the whole thing was in a rural area, and they wouldn't let the air that the tree breathes out, they wouldn't allow that even to come into that room, because they are so boxed up in that religion that they go against nature. This is so incredibly insane and backwards. And it's those people that are not going to survive in the future. Yes, I'm just going to give you some reality here. They are toxifying themselves on all levels, okay? Energetically and physically. They are eating just extremely killer food that kills them, that clogs up their arteries and their heart valves, and they ingest toxic people and toxic information, anti-information as I call it, and they don't even breathe good air. So, and the whole thing is so utterly toxic and so confined. It's like a prison, a prison atmosphere, lacking of any kind of kindness, lacking of any kind of all-encompassing hug. This is my symbol of hug, of I am here for everyone, not just for some select few. Okay, I'm here for everyone. That's love. That is, they have the opposite energy. They have the energy of extreme selection. Then they can't even really love among each other either. You either love or you don't love. It's not, love is not confined. Love does not know confinement, just like art. Real love is all encompassing. I hug and love all living beings. I don't like their behavior, but that comes from their fear and from their egos, their own brain cells, as I said many times before. Their own brain cells, their own body cells don't even feel good with this. That's why the more sensitive people, that's why they often, when they are in those types of enclaves, that's why those grab alcohol. I see it all the time. Like at the Dollar Tree store, there is this lady who is such a sweetheart. I have OCD with cigarette particles, so I have a real hard time with getting closer physically or touching someone or giving someone a hug who is a smoker. And I feel bad about this, right? I feel such terrible resistance to cigarette particles. I could never date someone who smokes or be friends or invite someone to my house who smokes. I just could not do it. There's a lot of stuff going on there also isolates me a lot. But anyway, I see this woman, that works there, and she is the sweetest woman in the world. She looks like, I don't know, she doesn't look very, very rich. She didn't have a very good education. I'm assuming now she might live in some kind of, like, I don't know, trailer house or a very small house or small community, small-minded community, enclave, religious enclave community, and all of this, So uneducated, also anti-educated and anti-science community, which is where we are here, and that's why I have no friends. And the friends are my trees and the animals, and because they're not religious. But this lady is so sweet. I'm always happy to see her. It doesn't matter to me what religion she is or what she does. Doesn't matter how she's dressed or how her grammar is or whether she smokes and drinks. And it's obviously from the way she talks and the way she, her skin is and face, and very red and coarse skin and beaten up body and all of this, beating herself up with the alcohol and the nicotine and probably eating really bad food, doesn't even know anything about healthy food or ethical food, ethical living, doesn't know anything about it, never gets out of that enclave, right? So she suffers. Not only does her body suffer, as all the bodies, even the mean people's bodies suffer, of course. I've seen all of this. But she's a sensitive. She's a sweetheart. Her brain has compassion. Her brain is equipped with a lot of compassion. And so that compassion, then, where does that compassion go? It doesn't know where to go really within this enclave of being, like boxed up in this. It's being squished into this enclave, this infinite amount of compassion, squished in here and suffering from this confinement. So she starts smoking and drinking, and probably from an early age on, because how do they cope with this? How do they cope with that situation? They begin to self-medicate. They don't know any better. A lot of other people, they take harder stuff. Some of them die from the drugs. It's so sad for me to see, this kind, sweetheart woman. I want to take her out of the enclave and put her like a Lego figure, put her into a different realm and say, hey, you can, I introduce you to art. Let's go into a museum in LA. I take you to the Getty Center. You have never seen this. You have never seen the Mona Lisa, Michelangelo, or the modern artists like Niki de Saint-Phalle and Horst Antes or Arnold Leisler or Fernando Botero. Never seen any of these wide brains. Probably never even heard of Picasso. Never seen the other mind options that are out there. And because of that, the whole body suffers. The brain cells, the body, the person doesn't know where to go to, doesn't know what to do. So where to go to other than to, the Walmart pharmacy and the doctor prescribing her Vicodin, or that's the case with a lot of those. With her, I don't know, it looks like she's very much drinking and smoking, so that is her way of medicating herself. And the sweetest woman in the world helps everyone. It's real honest. Someone leaves a purse there or something, she remembers the person. Because of her kindness, she remembers that person. She never really had to, or never really trained her memory, So one can train memory by going to school. That adds a lot to it. But she already does it because she cares so much. That's why she will remember these people. And she'll wait until they come back and she'll go, here is your purse, or here's your wallet, or here, you left this here, you wanted to buy it, or you bought it and I put it aside for you, so waiting for you to come back. And who does, how many people do this? How many? There aren't very many people who are that giving and kind and respectful. So, so in my dream, a nice lady like this was not there in that dream. They were all like zombies. They were all like Walking Dead, and immersed in arrogance and coldness and resistance to everything new, every other thought. And everything had to be done by the book and by a very strict regimen, and partly scripted through Bible and the minister that dictates to them the different modalities and fashions, but also through unspoken social normation that they, the one with the biggest ego has most to say in this regard. The minister with the biggest, hugest ego dictates the rules, and he uses shame, and he uses bullying, and he uses his pride and nationality and political party and religion and all of this. It's all such an extremely neurotic thing that they exude and exhibit, and that they work with, that is their only functions. Everything else, their own inner brain cells, the natural inner child, their bodies have been squashed into this, and natural things are not allowed. The only thing that will push itself up with force are the hormonal things, in men in particular, and that then gets conveniently accommodated in some kind of another religious excuse and stuff like this. And I've seen it all, like this God guy, that Children of God, I think was that called, and God guy, he just wanted to fuck every woman there was. So he'll just figured, okay, I'll make myself into. I don't know whether he deliberately did it like this, mechanistically, or whether he just gradually made himself believe all of this. I think that's what happened. So conveniently made himself believe that he is God, and then he founded this cult, started with his son and his son's wife. So first thing he does is, now that he's God, all women need to show themselves nude in front of him, alone with him in his bedroom. So first started with his son's wife, who then of course had sex with him, and then more and more people entered into the cult, more and more women with their teenage daughters, and the teenage daughters, as vulnerable as teenage children are, teenagers are so susceptible and so adaptable to anything moldable, like Lycia, completely moldable. They don't question anything. It's just the adults are on a pedestal. And so these teenage girls, they would go to him and spend the night with him in his room, get undressed, and he, has his fingers all over them, and probably rapes some of them. And so, at some point, there's always at some point some girl that finally says, no, not with me, no, this goes too far. And they suffer so much that they just can't hide the suffering anymore, the emotional abuse that comes with that, the feeling of being used like a merchandise, like a sex doll. And so eventually then that flew up, and some teenage girl spoke out, and the guy got arrested. But yeah, this is a mentality. This is not just a single case. This is a human mentality. Religiousness, and then the hormones come into the picture, and they accommodate them in their own favor within the religious framework. Okay, so, and that's what's happening all the time. Or a psychopath will accommodate his psychopathic needs into his religion. He'll just shape a religion in his own psychopathic needs. We've seen it in the Middle East happening on a vast scale. It's also happening in religious cults in the West. So some worse and some less bad. So some are absolutely horrendous. You've seen it all. If you open your eyes, you get into it, you watch the documentary films, you see it. But don't think that whatever, the Kool-Aid guy is that much worse than your Jehovah's Witness cult or your Mormon cult or whatever.